All right, the Atlanta Falcons just got great news heading into training camp. If you're new to the channel, we are Detroit Lions fans, but we have this channel covering teams and stories that just don't get the love nationally like they should. This story is a perfect example of that. So, the Detroit Lions center, Frank Ragnow, who's highly regarded as a definite top 3 center in this league, but I mean, most people regard him as like the best center right now. He's the best center in the National Football League. He was asked on a podcast just a couple days ago, give me some names of some just like underrated players or people that don't get the love like they should, or who's hard to go against. He's just talking about other players around the league. And he said there's a guy that maybe gets credit, no question, but doesn't get enough credit is Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett is incredibly good. He said he is one of the most difficult defensive tackles to go against. His burst, that get off, you hear that all the time, is so explosive, and he goes out 3 yards. It feels like he just explodes 3 yards on his first step. So Grady Jarrett is a guy that you don't forget about, but just in this time of year, especially with the Atlanta Falcons, it's Kirk Cousins, it's what you did at the draft, it's who are the new guys, who are the new free agents, and you just kind of focused on that, as you should be. It's a fun, exciting 90 men are on the roster now. It's got to get cut down to 53, but at the end of the day, you've got a player that another player, one of the top at his position that he goes against, called him out unsolicited. It wasn't like, what do you think of Grady Jarrett? Like, those questions are dumb because it's like, what is he going to say? He's going to be like, oh, he's great. Yeah. And you just don't really know what he thinks. But when he was asked to say somebody, he said Grady Jarrett. Now, why is this such good news? Because I think if you're an outsider like myself, let's start with the defense. You look at this roster, NFC South, we talk about the Falcons, we talk about the Saints, the Bucks on this channel, because they're overlooked. They're overlooked teams in a division where nobody's really taken a stranglehold on it. It's a very fascinating division where you can go worst to first. You can really surprise, so it's wide open. And so if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, there's Grady Jarrett at defensive tackle. Boom, done. You've got Jesse Bates. You've got other players on the defensive side that give you a chance to stay in games and leave it to your offense to go win the game. That's what it feels like for the Falcons. The defense isn't elite where it's going to win you games, but it's good enough to say, okay, offense, go score in the upper 20s and let's win. And let's win this division, have a home playoff game, and see what happens. And again, it's not easy to win the division. Like, we all get that. But the point is, it's this close to winning the division gets you so many things. And that's how it's designed. And it should be. It's like you're rewarded for winning your division. So you look at the offensive side. Kirk Cousins, hello, like complete difference maker there. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, offensive line that's good with Lindstrom, Jake Matthews. Like, what if you're a Falcons fan? I know the draft got weird and frustrating because you're looking to add a premier player and you do, but he's not going to play. And it's like, that was frustrating. Totally get it. But now your quarterback position is rock solid for the next 10 years. It's going to be Cousins for a couple, then Penix. So, it's like, okay, fine. I guess I'll live with this and I'll start to come around to it. And by now you've come around to it. But if you look at it, there's players on this roster. It's like Kirk Cousins, put it all together. Let's go. Defense, hold us together. We've got one of the best defensive players, and let's do it. So PFF also recognizes this as well. PFF says Jesse Bates and Chris Lindstrom are in the top 50 for 2024. Jesse Bates, a true ball hawk at safety. He showed last season that he can take his talents to a new defense and still ball out. 6 interceptions, a 90 PFF grade coverage. He's still elite in coverage, and he has the range to punish ill-advised passes. Beautiful. Lindstrom. It's getting harder and harder to argue against Chris Lindstrom as the best guard in football. He backed up a spectacular 22 season with another 23 season that was almost as good, allowing only 15 pressures and earning an 87 PFF run blocking grade. He was one of 2 guards to post a 74 plus grade at both run and pass blocker. So you got proven commodities in Grady Jarrett and the 2 guys I just talked about. And then you've got the like, let's go, Bijan. Let's go, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Pair you with Kirk Cousins and let's take off. Like this is, I mean, the Lions played the Falcons last year, and the Lions were like really good in that game, and it was still like 20-13 or something. Like it was like the score was a little closer than the game fell, but still, my point is the Falcons defense just hung in there, and they just couldn't do anything offensively to put pressure on the other team. And then there you go, right? So it's like not even scoring points, but there is something to putting pressure on the other team, meaning you're getting a couple first downs. You're flipping the field position a little bit. You're giving yourself a chance for a long field goal versus 3 and outs and turnovers. It felt like the Falcons had a lot of those moments where it's just like, man, all right, 3 and out, turnover, can't get the ball going, can't move it. It's frustrating. Offense is frustrated. Defense has to go out there now on a short field, make something happen. And that's the type of stuff that could be really just frustrating. So again, if you're new to the channel, we're Detroit Lions fans that cover these teams and stories that you just, again, you're not going to see it on ESPN, Get Up, or Pat McAfee. I get it. But if you love the Falcons, you get this. You're like, I get it. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. We could be good here. And so I see it, and I'm like curious to see what the Falcons do this season. I don't know what their over under is. I saw it recently. I think it was a little higher than I thought. I was like, man, I'm gonna like this is a bet. This is a team you would bet the over. But I remember thinking, oh shoot, it's like 9.5. It's like, oh shoot, I thought maybe people would be doubting them more. People know. I mean, they do, just because Kirk Cousins thing, and I think you just can't get distracted by the Michael Penix weirdness of the draft, because this is still a team that you're like, all right, Kirk Cousins, can you take all those playmakers and make them who we all thought they would be? I mean, then it's just crazy. Then and also too, the schedule is not terrible. The division's wide open. It's nothing that scares you. You don't have that one team in your division where you're like, oh, how are we going to beat them? No, it's wide open. So again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see all of you on the next one.